I'm here in the heart of Austin, Texas, and something truly extraordinary is taking place. Stella Austin Whiskey and Barrel Global are partnering up to bring barrel ownership from Texas to the world.
So as we see from the mill house here, that's the pipe that was fed out.
Okay.
It's gonna feed right through the wall here. So the grain will first come down into this. It's another dry storage container. Remember I was saying it's basically like a really coarse flour?
Yeah.
So we'll combine all that grain with hot water. We'll boil it down over the course of a few hours, about 5-6 hours, to break down, of course, those starches into fermentable sugars. We'll begin adding our yeast and yeast nutrients at this point, and then from our cooker, it'll immediately go into one of these fermenters back here. How we do our fermentation here is much different than you would see at like a winery or a brewery. We're doing hot and fast. We're really not concerned too much with developing flavors. We don't want to develop off flavors by any means. The idea behind the heat is actually because it helps create some more of the fruity esters, particularly in the rye that we're using. Okay. And then the still can kind of bring those fruity notes out into the whiskey. The length of time is because we're not really worried about slowly developing those flavors. We're just really trying to activate that yeast and create as much alcohol as possible so that we can hit to the still and get as much proof gallons as possible. Yeah. So of all the craft side that we do, I would say our fermentation there's a little bit of craft to it, but we are really more about how to operate the still, where we're sourcing the grain, and the barrel maturation is where we really start putting the artistic touch on things. So like you can actually see these dimple jackets that are welded to the outside. This one is cooling down the mash that's underneath. You can put your hand down here and you can feel how much warmer it is.
Yeah.
And that's using all water cooling, no glycol whatsoever, which I love the fact that we were able to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love this piece of equipment. I'd love to point out that this is a one-of-a-kind piece of equipment. It's a column still designed by master distiller Mike Delavante, former production manager over at Ray & Nephew. Welcome to my office, sir. Once those barrels hit the rick house, that's when the fun begins, and that's when kind of our most artisanal parts of the process kind of starts. It's about really the temperature these barrels are stored at, not really the time they're being stored for. Now, Nancy trained while working in Cognac and Armagnac, and while over there, she picked up a lot of these old world aging techniques. Chief among them is something called slow water reduction. Are you familiar with this at all?
No.
So how it works is how we use it at least, is after the whiskey's been in the barrel for maybe, let's say, 18 to 24 months. We might open that barrel and we'll taste the whiskey inside. More often than not, it's developing very nicely, but it might have a little bit more tannic character than we would like, might be a little oakier than we would like. So we'll actually add a little bit of water directly into the barrel, seal it up, and let it continue to age for 5 or 6 weeks. Revisit it 5 or 6 weeks later, do the same thing. Okay. Maybe we want to age it for 5 years, and so maybe we just add a little bit of water to it, do that 1 or 2 times over the course of 15 weeks, 18 weeks, and then let it sit for 4 more years before revisiting. The idea behind it is we're not really trying to proof the whiskey down a lot. When we add water, we might only add maybe 3 to 6 liters of water, so it's only going to come down maybe about 1% of alcohol. What it's really doing is it's changing the way that whiskey interacts with the oak. The problem, since our whiskey is rushing through its aging process down here, just like if I were to rush through my morning routine, I'd forget my wallet, my phone, or my keys. Our whiskey forgets to oxidize some of the tannins in the oak and break down some of those water-soluble sugars within that barrel as well. So that's why whiskeys here in Texas can be 4 and 5 and taste so oaky and smoky.
Yeah.
The slow water reduction gives our whiskey the tools to break down those water-soluble sugars and also help oxidize some of those tannins, giving you a much softer, much more approachable whiskey coming from our crazy climate down here.